When you love yourself enough, you will attract the right person, not because you are trying to, but because you are no longer repelling them with the energy of need. This is not a sentimental platitude or a feel-good slogan designed to soothe heartbreak. It is a psychological truth rooted in the profound insights of Carl Jung, one that cuts through the illusion of romantic love as rescue and replaces it with something far more powerful: love as an emanation of inner wholeness. Most people approach relationships as if they are searching for something outside themselves, a missing piece, a savior, a cure for loneliness. But Jung saw this as a fundamental misunderstanding of the self and of connection. He taught that what we call love is often not love at all, but a projection of unconscious wounds, a desperate attempt to have another person heal what we have refused to face within. When you are driven by lack, you do not attract love, you attract more lack. You draw in people who mirror your unresolved pain, who trigger your fears, who replay the same old patterns of abandonment, rejection, or emotional unavailability. This is not coincidence. It is the law of psychological resonance. The unconscious does not lie. It broadcasts your inner state like a signal, and the people who come into your life are tuned to that frequency. If your deepest belief is that you are unworthy, you will not attract someone who sees your worth. You will attract someone who confirms your unworthiness, not out of malice, but because they are responding to the energy you emit. This is why so many people find themselves in the same kind of relationship over and over, with different faces but the same outcome. They are not cursed. They are not unlucky. They are simply unaware of the internal script they are living out. Jung called this process projection, the unconscious act of placing our inner world onto another person. You do not fall in love with who they truly are, but with the image your psyche has constructed based on your unmet needs, childhood dynamics, and hidden fears. A woman who grew up with a distant father may find herself drawn to men who are emotionally unavailable, not because she enjoys the pain, but because that dynamic feels familiar, and familiarity, even when painful, feels like safety. A man who was criticized relentlessly as a child may seek partners who are critical, mistaking intensity for intimacy, conflict for connection. These are not choices made consciously. They are compulsions driven by the unconscious, which seeks not happiness, but resolution. It wants to return to the original wound, not to heal it, but to finally get it right. But no relationship can heal a wound that you have not first acknowledged within yourself. No amount of love from another person can overwrite the belief that you are not enough if you continue to outsource your worth to them. This is the trap. The more you seek love to fill your emptiness, the more you repel the very love you desire, because neediness is not attractive, not because it is shameful, but because it creates pressure. It turns the other person into a caretaker, a validator, a savior. And no one can sustain that role without eventually pulling away. Human beings are wired for authenticity, not performance. They can sense on a deep instinctual level when someone is whole and when someone is fractured. When you are fragmented, your energy broadcasts anxiety, even if your words are calm. You may say you are secure, but your behavior, your constant checking, your fear of silence, your need for reassurance, tells a different story. And people respond to that story, not your words. To break this cycle, you must shift from seeking love to becoming love. This is the essence of Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming your true self, of integrating the parts of you that have been rejected, ignored, or buried. Individuation is not about becoming independent in the sense of isolation. It is about becoming undivided, no longer living as a collection of personas, masks, and adaptations, but as a unified whole. It means facing the shadow, the parts of yourself you do not wish to see, the anger, the grief, the shame, the envy, and bringing them into the light. It means stopping the habit of blaming others for your pain and beginning to take responsibility for your inner world. This is not easy. It is not comfortable. It requires you to sit with loneliness instead of numbing it, to feel grief instead of escaping it, to admit that you have been abandoning yourself in the name of love. But it is only through this honest confrontation that you can stop recreating the same painful patterns. When you stop looking to others to make you feel worthy, you begin to emit a different energy, one of stillness, of presence, of quiet confidence. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to chase. You simply are. And from that state of being, you naturally attract people who are also whole, who are also at peace, who do not need to fix you or be fixed by you. These are not perfect people. They are real people, flawed, complex, and authentic. But because they are not running from themselves, they can meet you as an equal. The love that comes from this place is not desperate. It is not clingy. It does not demand constant reassurance. It is not afraid of space or silence. It is free. It chooses to be with you not because it cannot survive without you, but because it genuinely wants to. This is the kind of love Jung described, not as a fairy tale, but as a psychological achievement. It does not come from finding the right person. It comes from being the right person, for yourself. When you love yourself enough, you set boundaries not as weapons, but as acts of self-respect. You say no when you mean no. You walk away from what diminishes you. You stop sacrificing your truth to keep the peace. You learn to be alone without being lonely, to sit with your own company, to find comfort in your own presence. And in that solitude, you discover something radical. You are not empty. You are not broken. You are not lacking. You are complete. This does not mean you do not desire connection. It means you no longer depend on it for your sense of worth. And that shift, internal, invisible, but profound, changes everything. The right person does not come because you finally got the formula right. They come because you are no longer hiding. They come because your energy is no longer screaming, "Love me, choose me, save me." It is simply saying, "I am here. I am real. I am open." And when two people who have done this work meet, something rare happens. They do not merge into one. They remain two distinct individuals, each whole in themselves, choosing to walk together not out of need, but out of desire. They do not fear loss, because they know that love does not define their worth. They choose each other every day, not because they have to, but because they want to. This is not the end of the journey. It is a new beginning, one where love is not a reward for being good enough, but a natural expression of having finally come home to yourself.